Masturbation addiction withdrawals. How do you manage these? This is our topic today, and believe me, millions of men and women, when they decide to stop masturbating, there are real withdrawals. So stay with us. If you have yet to join our YouTube, please do. We have so much help, hundreds of videos related to recovery and helping you live a great life. If you have a question, put it in the box so that we can get to you as soon as possible. Masturbation withdrawals are real. Now, I've been working with people who've been addicted to masturbation for right at 40 years. And I'm talking Monday through Friday for decades of my life doing masturbation histories. I probably have done more masturbation histories than any man in the world because my clients have struggled with masturbation addiction. Now, I know what it's like to be a masturbation addict. It's not fun. I've been sober now for over 40 years, about 40 years now. And it is so exciting to be free. Decades of freedom is possible. I've seen thousands and thousands of men and women get free from masturbation addiction. But I warn them. So I'm going to talk to you today as if you were in my office on Monday and you flew in, you did a 5-day intensive with me or someone on my staff. And we're having this conversation and you're telling me, Dr. Weiss, I've never been able to stop masturbation. And after we have all that conversation about how it is possible, thousands have gotten better, there's a program of recovery, and maybe we'll get to that in a little bit. I talked to you about, okay, now let me warn you that over the next 30 to 90 days, you're going to have withdrawals, mostly in the 30-day period. That's why in AA and all the 12-step anonymous groups, they offer you a 30-day chip. Because there's something that happens, and I really do believe it's neurological, because you have depended on this stimulation. Because when you have a sexual release through masturbation, you get the highest endogenous opiates, hits the prefrontal cortex of your brain, and boom, this is like a heroin-like substance. It's the most powerful reward system you have naturally. And so you attach it to pornography or fantasy, and there you go. Ring the bell, feed a dog, ring the bell, feed a dog. But also you get psychologically attached sometimes to the storyline, to being wanted, to being able to perceive beauty, to have beauty in your presence, to be worshiped, to be adored, to be unconditionally loved, to be dominant, to be controlled, whatever the psychological thing is. And so you go through this withdrawal because it's not just the chemical withdrawals of not getting those endogenous opiates. As a matter of fact, I've had so many clients discover they were chemically depressed or even in the bipolar spectrum of chemical disorders once they got off the juice of masturbation. And so they hit a real neurological place because they were using this to medicate. So when you have those endogenous opiates on such a high frequency, you're going to have withdrawals. I'm going to talk about what you can do about that in a minute. But also there's the psychological withdrawals. Okay, chemically, maybe you put this chemical to use, especially if you're a man, to put yourself to sleep. Because men, when they have a sexual release, there is a chemical released in your brain that puts you to sleep. And that's so that women can get a good night's sleep. Otherwise, we'd go all night long, right? So the good news is that you have this. The bad news is some people have become dependent on masturbation to put them to sleep. It has become their sleep aid. It's become their boo-boo mommy psychologically. This is a real relationship that they're actually grieving. So they go through shock, they go through denial, they go through anger, they go through bargaining just a little bit. Why not? Everyone does it, right? Then they go through sadness, accepting that they can't do this anymore because for them it's an addiction, okay? Maybe someone else it's not an addiction, but for you it's an addiction. Just like alcohol, some people are not addicted and some people are automatically addicted. Some people develop the addiction. No matter how you got to the place where masturbation is out of control, you now are starting a sober lifestyle. But neurologically, you're going to go through withdrawals. So let's talk about what those are. Sleep disturbance is real common for people getting off of masturbation. Difficulty concentrating, and it's more like you're in a fog. It's kind of hard to explain unless you experience it, but you're kind of in this fog. Mood swings are real common in the first 30 days. Agitation, irritability, real common because you're not getting your fix. You're not getting your way. You're not getting worshiped. You're not getting adored. You're not getting to escape. You're not getting to relieve your stress, especially, if this is your primary stress release, you don't exercise, you don't eat right. This is what you do to release stress. You're going to now have a lot more of the symptoms of being stressed because this was your way of managing your life. And so depending on how you've been using it, your withdrawals might be greater, but almost everybody goes through withdrawals. And you'll find your mind actually fighting you and throwing you fantasies and pictures and images and recalling events so that you do masturbate, so the brain doesn't have to change its neural pathway. And this is around the 30-day period. I warn guys and ladies, around the 30-day period, anywhere from 25 to 35 days of being sober, you're going to get this real desire to act out. It's going to flood you. It's almost like you feel like you don't have a choice. Now you do. You always have a choice. But it feels so overwhelming. And addicts are not mature emotionally. Get the book Emotional Fitness. Get emotionally mature as fast as you possibly can, because the best thing you can do for your recovery. Because when emotions hit, you usually went to boo-boo mommy, you went to masturbation, you went to pornography, you went to fantasy, and to get your needs met. So now, without it, you're going to have to manage differently. So you have some of those mood swings, irritability, all that kind of stuff. But what do I do with it, Dr. Weiss? Now, first of all, get in recovery, get in a group. If you don't know what type of sex addict you are, either call my office at 719-278-3708, talk to a counselor, coach, and find out so they can give you a complete strategy. But you definitely want to get in groups. You definitely want to get the workbooks on sexual addiction so that you can start getting the tools you need to get better. That's the first thing you can do. Because in going to groups, you're going to start making phone calls. And when you get those strong feelings, if you make a phone call, you're not going to believe this until after you do it. The feelings go away. They disappear. I remember as soon as I start calling before I acted out, I didn't have to act out anymore. I could call someone and say, hey, Joe, this is what's going on. And they talk me off the ledge. I'm like, whew. As soon as I open my heart, make it clear, there's way more power in the we of recovery than the me. Me has failed thousands of times. And if you're one of those guys or gals like, oh, I can do this, you can't do this. I've worked with mega millionaires, famous people, politicians, sports figures, people in the acting profession, rocket scientists, heart surgeons, multimillionaires, billionaire. They don't make it by themselves. So don't be the person who thinks they can do it by themselves, because you can't. Addictions innately need a team to recover, because you have to build trust to be able to heal. So you definitely want to make the phone calls, get in group. That's the first thing you can do. On a pragmatic way, when you get these desires to act out, when you start feeling the withdrawals, go exercise. And I mean vigorous exercise. Go get into some cardio situation. Go for a run. Go on a bike somewhere. Go to the gym. I've had guys many times, they want to act out, like say after 10 o'clock. Well, then go to the gym at 10 o'clock. Work out for 45 minutes, okay? Don't talk to any women. Just work out, okay? Or find a way that you can do this. Now, exercise is critical in early recovery. I would do 3 to 5 days a week. If you're married, take your wife with you, or go when there's not a lot of women there. Don't go to a place to be triggered, but get exercise. Now, if a gym's not safe for you, then go for a run. Do push-ups to failure. Go do leg lunges, for half a mile. Do things that can push you. This is really, really important. Okay, look at your nutrition. Caffeine, okay, sugar, loading yourself with carbohydrates are all dangerous signs if you're in withdrawals. These will be go-tos that you might go through, and you might want to be careful that you're not using them in an addictive way, but overusing them can actually push you towards a relapse. So you want to be careful about that. Get your nutrition in balance. Get a multivitamin. Start taking care of your physical needs, your stress. Okay? If you are married or you have a partner, you want to negotiate sexual activity, but intimacy, not the kind where you go to fantasy. Don't have sex with fantasy. That reinforces your addiction. It doesn't reinforce relational sex. Object sex is different than relational sex. Once you get the skills for relational sex, and there's a great DVD we have called Sex After Recovery that can help you with that. We have a book called Upgrade Your Sex Life that can help you with that. But you want to be relational if you're being sexual. You do not want to be object sex, one-night stands, prostitutes, just having sex to have sex, not really connecting or committing to the person. You want to avoid that kind of activity because it will continue to bring masturbation relapses. So as you go through your withdrawals, get past the 30-day mark. That's the first big hill. Some men and women hit it around 60 days as well, and almost inevitably at 90. Now, the 30 and 90 days when the 12 step gives you chips. And that's why positive reinforcement for getting past that moment when you really wanted to act out. Withdrawals from sex addiction, from porn addiction, and masturbation are real. And not everyone's going to understand you or understand that, but you need to take care of yourself. And if you're a spouse listening to this, understand your partner who's going through withdrawals is going to need a lot more self-care. They're not being selfish, but you can do it with them. Go exercise together. Being creative. I'm talking about writing creative stories, painting, doing anything that involves that kind of neurostimulation. Having close, connected communication with your spouse is very helpful neurologically. So these are some tips that you can have if you're going through withdrawals. And of course, if you need help, and you're going to in recovery, not just for you, but if you're married, they've experienced partner betrayal trauma, and they might need some help, or even come do an intensive in Colorado Springs and really get expedited recovery tools. And you can save many, many months, even years off of your life if you get really good help really quickly. Know what type of sex addict you are, get a plan for that type or multiple types, and let the spouse get her help or his help. And then the marriage can get help if you're married, and all three of these moving together is the most synergistic way for recovery to happen. Again, if we can be helped, give us a call or reach out to us through the box. And again, if you haven't subscribed, you really want to, because we have so many helpful things for you and your life.